The glass hit the floor before anyone moved. He turned slowly, the kind of slow that makes a room go silent. 43 floors up, surrounded by people paid to anticipate his every need. And something was wrong. He could feel it before he could name it. Nobody leaves this room. His voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. Every head turned. Everybody froze. Except one. Near the far exit, a woman in a dark uniform was already moving, walking fast, head down, a folded cloth in her hand. Her cart leapt behind near the service door. Security clocked her in under 2 seconds. One guard stepped forward. Then another. She stopped before they reached her. She didn't run. She didn't argue. She simply turned around, reached into the front pocket of her uniform, and held something out. His wallet. Sir, her voice was quiet. Almost too quiet for the room. You dropped this. Near the elevator. I was going to leave it with the front desk. No one spoke. He walked toward her slowly, eyes reading her face the way he read contracts, looking for the clause that changes everything. But there was nothing there to find. No performance. No calculation. Just a woman standing still, holding something that wasn't hers. He took the wallet. She nodded once and turned back to her cart. Before we go any further, if you're already feeling this one, drop a heart in the comments and tell me your name and where you're watching from. I read every single one. Now, most people would have let her go, filed it under honest employee, good day. But he wasn't most people. He'd spent 20 years learning how to see through people, and something about her bothered him, not in a suspicious way, in the way a detail bothers you when it doesn't fit the frame. She'd been working this floor for, he didn't actually know how long. That bothered him too. He asked his assistant quietly. 3 years. She'd been on this floor for 3 years, and he was only now seeing her face. Lunch came up at 1:30. The usual spread. His team ate standing up, talking numbers, talking timelines. Plates got cleared between sentences. He watched in the window. A habit, not a decision. And that's when he saw it. She was clearing the far table, moving efficiently, not rushing. And when she reached for a tray with untouched food still on it, her hand slowed. Just for a second. A hesitation, so small most people would have missed it. She didn't take anything. She didn't even look around first. She just paused, then kept moving. He turned back to the window. Pack that up. He said it to no one in particular, gesturing toward the leftover trays. All of it. Don't throw it away. 20 minutes later, she was called over and handed 2 bags. Full containers, still warm. And the look on her face when she took them was the thing that stayed with him. Not gratitude exactly. More like relief. The kind that's been held back for a long time. He told himself he wasn't following her. He was walking. Just walking. In the same direction. Through the lobby. Out the side entrance, down the block where the afternoon light was cutting hard between the buildings. That's all it was. She walked fast for someone who'd been on her feet. Since 6 in the morning. No phone out. No music. Just moving. The 2 bags looped over one arm, her uniform jacket folded under the other. He kept his distance. After 2 blocks, the neighborhood changed. Not dramatically. Not all at once. But you could feel it in the pavement, in the storefronts, in the way the buildings stopped trying. By the 4th block, she turned off the main street entirely. And by the 5th, he was somewhere he hadn't been in a long time. Not because he'd never seen poverty, but because he'd stopped letting himself look. She went up 4 steps and through a door that didn't quite close all the way. He stopped across the street. He didn't know why he stopped. He told himself he'd walk past. He didn't. Through the window. And he wasn't trying to see. The curtain was barely there. He could make out a small table, a lamp with a shade that had gone yellow, a young boy moving quickly, setting out plates like he'd been waiting. And behind him, half sitting on a worn sofa, a woman wrapped in a blanket despite the afternoon warmth. She came in, and the boy went to her immediately. Small arms, big hug. She set the bags down and opened them at the table in the boy's face. Even from across the street, even through dirty glass, was something he hadn't seen in a long time in his own home. Pure, uncalculated joy. She served the boy first, then moved toward the sofa, carefully, like she was carrying something fragile, and set a plate in the older woman's lap. The boy looked up at her. Did you eat? She smiled without hesitation. Yes. She hadn't eaten. He knew it the way you know certain things. Not because you can prove them, but because you've been watching long enough. She carried food home for 2 people and told a child she was fine. If that's hitting you, even a little, drop a heart in the comments right now. Let me know you're still here. He walked back alone. The city sounded different on the way back. Or maybe he was just hearing it differently. He passed a restaurant where dinner for 2 cost more than she made in a week. He passed a parking garage where he kept a car he hadn't driven in 4 months. Back in his apartment, the lights were already on. His housekeeper had come and gone. Everything was perfect. Everything was in its place. His son, 8 years old, quiet in the way kids get when they learn that stillness is safer than noise, was already in his room. They hadn't eaten dinner together in 11 days. He knew because he'd started counting without meaning to. He sat down. Why don't we eat together anymore? He hadn't heard the boy come in. He didn't have an answer. Not a real one. Not one he could say out loud. He looked at his son for a long moment, this child who had everything, who wanted only one thing, and felt the distance between them like a physical weight. That night, he didn't sleep well. He kept seeing a woman smiling at a child over borrowed food. She came in the next morning the same as always. 6:02. Uniform pressed. Cart stocked. Head down. She didn't know anything had changed. There was no reason she would. He was good at keeping his face exactly where he needed it. That was the first skill a man in his position learned. Control the surface. Everything underneath could wait. He let the morning pass. She worked her floor, cleared rooms, restocked linens, moved like someone who had learned to take up as little space as possible in a world that kept shrinking around her. At 11:30, his assistant appeared at his office door. She's available now if you'd like. He nodded once. She came in like she was walking into a disciplinary meeting. Shoulders square, hands folded, chin level, prepared for whatever was coming. He recognized that posture. He'd wore it himself a long time ago. He let the silence sit for a moment. How long have you worked here? She blinked. 3 years, sir. 3 years and 4 months. He nodded slowly, like he was doing math she couldn't see. And in 3 years and 4 months, have you ever taken anything from this office that wasn't yours to take? She didn't flinch. No. He leaned back. You found a wallet that could have changed your situation. You didn't open it. You didn't take one bill. You returned it and went back to work. She said nothing. You're raising a child. It wasn't a question. And caring for someone else. And doing it on what we're paying you. Her jaw tightened. Just barely. I'm not here to make you uncomfortable. He said it quietly. I'm here because you shouldn't have to choose between being honest and being okay. Those 2 things should never be in conflict. And for you, for too long they have been. What happened next took less than 10 minutes to arrange and a lifetime to deserve. A housing assistance package. Real, substantial, not a gesture. Medical care for her mother, coordinated through his company's private network. And a role, not a favor, not charity, a real position, with real responsibility, in his foundation's community outreach office. The kind of job where her instincts, her judgment, her quiet ability to see what others didn't, those things had actual value. She didn't react the way people do in movies. She didn't collapse. She didn't cover her mouth. She just sat very still, and her eyes went somewhere far away for a moment, and when they came back they were wet. Why? She finally asked. He was quiet for a long time. Because I watched you give everything you had to people you love, and smile like it was enough. And I realized, he paused, I've had more than enough my whole life, and I can barely do the same. She left his office different than she came in. Not louder, not harder, just lighter. Like something she'd been carrying for years had finally been set down in the right place. That evening he came home before dark. His son was in the kitchen. Are you staying tonight? The boy asked. Careful. Try not to want too much. Yeah. He set his keys down. What do you want to eat? The boy smiled. That's all. No orchestra. No grand speech. Just a man who saw something true in someone else and let it change him. She had nothing and still chose honesty. Some people have everything and still don't. If you believe people like her still exist, and they do, I promise you they do. Subscribe. I tell stories that matter, and I'm just getting started.